So you want to go vegan or just start to eat more plant-based meals, but you're intimidated, you don't know where to start, maybe you're new to cooking altogether. You're in luck, because today I'm going to show you how to make 3 vegan dinner recipes that are easy, delicious, and budget-friendly that I think you'll enjoy no matter where you are in your plant-based journey. Our first beginner-friendly dinner recipe is this cozy vegan mushroom stroganoff. For this recipe, you're going to need 16 ounces of mushrooms. I usually just use cremini or white button mushrooms because they're easy to find, they're affordable, but you can really use any blend of mushrooms you like. You can get fancy, throw in some shiitakes, some oyster mushrooms. That'll add some more flavor and some different textures, which is nice. Just brush off any dirt from your mushrooms and thinly slice them. You'll also slice up 1 white or yellow onion, and you're gonna mince up as much garlic as your little heart desires. Now we're also gonna need some vegan sour cream, which I'm preparing from scratch by blending raw soaked cashews with some water, lemon juice, and apple cider vinegar until smooth. It's super easy, but you can feel free to use a store-bought vegan sour cream like Tofu. I also have a few other recommendations in the blog post for this recipe, linked down below. In a non-stick skillet, heat up 2 tablespoons of vegan butter, or you can use olive oil if you prefer. I like the extra flavor the butter gives. Then add in your sliced onions, and you're going to saute until they start to take on just a little bit of color. At that point, add in your sliced mushrooms and sprinkle on some salt to help draw out the moisture. You can see how much moisture the mushrooms are releasing here, and we are going to keep sauteing until all of that has cooked off and there's not much extra liquid left in the pan. This is the time to toss in your garlic and saute for just about another minute. Next, we're going to sprinkle over a heaping tablespoon of regular all-purpose flour, or you can use rice flour if you need to make this gluten-free. This is going to act as a thickener for our vegan stroganoff, and you're going to stir until the mushrooms are coated with the flour and there's no more dry flour visible. Now we're going to deglaze our pan with our vegetable broth. I am using, and I recommend using, a beef-style veggie broth. This gives the vegan mushroom stroganoff a really rich, savory flavor. It's going to make it taste more like the real thing. If you only have regular vegetable broth available to you, I would recommend also adding in about a tablespoon of soy sauce as well to round out the flavors. Stir to dissolve the flour into the broth, and the mixture will start to thicken, almost like a gravy. Now we're going to pour in either your homemade vegan cashew sour cream or a store-bought vegan sour cream. Add in some Dijon mustard, and I also like to add in some vegan-friendly Worcestershire sauce to boost the umami. This is optional. Stir everything together and then give your mushroom stroganoff a taste and adjust the salt and pepper to your preference. This is commonly served with wide egg noodles, which of course are not vegan-friendly, so I usually make my vegan stroganoff with fusilli. We love this brown rice fusilli from Jovial. But you can also serve this over rice or potatoes for an easy, comforting dinner. One last note, if you'd like to add some extra protein to this dish, you can add in a container of vegan beef-style crumbles, like these ones from Gardein, or a package of Impossible or Beyond Beef. It's really comforting.
I was gonna say it's so wholesome.
Very savory.
Mushrooms really turn into something special when you cook them down all the way.
Get a little sear on them. This is just perfect cold weather comfort food.
Why don't we make this more?
That's what we're gonna say about every recipe in this.
And it's true.
Quick pause, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, By Jing. By Jing makes premium Sichuan sauces that make it super easy to instantly elevate any dish, make it taste 10 times more flavorful. Their mission is to bring authentic Chinese flavors to every home. Their sauces have delicious, complex flavors. They're all 100% vegan, non-GMO, and made with real, all-natural ingredients.
Here we have their triple threat, which consists of Sichuan chili crisp, Zhong sauce, and mala spice mix, which I swear these 3 things are good on literally everything. Use them on rice, noodle dishes, just steamed veggies, tofu, or my favorite, dumplings. First up,
Zhong sauce.
I put way too much, but that's okay.
Can't one bite the dumpling like you. Oh yeah.
It's really good.
There's so much flavor. It's just super well-rounded. You get the garlic, the soy sauce, sesame. It's not overwhelmingly spicy. I feel like this would be good for anyone who enjoys spice. And then the mushroom powder gives it that extra umami.
It's like packed with umami flavor.
Yeah. Little Sichuan chili crisp now.
So this has preserved black beans in it, which really gives that deep, it's just another really umami flavor that you don't get in normal chili crisp.
Got the Sichuan pepper, so it's a little like numbing on the tongue.
I think the thing that strikes me about By Jing is that I've just never eaten things that taste like this.
It really makes me want to experiment with Sichuan cooking.
I too would like to experiment with Sichuan cooking.
I also steamed up some rice because one of my favorite ways to enjoy the chili crisp is just on plain white rice. It just adds so much flavor. It's really comforting. Having a good arsenal of sauces and spices is a great way to really quickly elevate your cooking, especially on days when you don't have that much energy or time.
Really jealous there's only one bowl of rice here.
It's so good.
So we also have the mala spice mix, which is a powder, not a sauce, and it's just like another super flavorful umami bomb, kind of. I think I'm gonna put it on popcorn later.
Oh,
I haven't tried that yet.
Idea.
Yeah.
If you want to try out By Jing for yourself, you can hop on over to flybyjing.com, use our code Sarah15 for 15% off your order.
You can explore their website, see all the different products they have, but we recommend the triple threat like we have because it's great for anyone to have in their kitchen.
Next up, we have these colorful vegan stir-fry noodles with pan-fried tofu.
I feel like this is a recipe that's great to have in your back pocket because there are so many ways to customize it, and it's a nice balance. It's got protein, it's got carbs from the noodles, and you can pack it a ton of different veggies. First off, we're going to prepare our protein. I'm going to be using tofu. I think firm or extra firm works best in this recipe. If you use tofu that's too soft, it tends to crumble. Go ahead and drain your tofu. We're going to press it after we cut it. For this recipe, I like to cut it a little bit smaller. I like to cut all my veggies a bit smaller too, just so that when you're eating it, you can get like the perfect bite every time that has a little bit of everything. I've gone ahead and just arranged my little tofu bites on 1/2 of a clean kitchen towel. And we're gonna fold it over on itself and apply a little bit of pressure. I'm just gonna use a cutting board. You could use a plate, a cookie sheet. I'm gonna set this aside for about 10 minutes while we prep the rest of our ingredients.
If you had one laying around, could you use a small child to weigh it down?
Yes, the pressure wouldn't be as even, I don't
Right.
think.
That's the problem with that.
Yeah. You can literally use any kind of veggies you like in stir fries. Today we just have some red bell pepper, some broccoli, some carrot, and some yellow onion. I'm just gonna cut the bell pepper into strips. I'm gonna peel and julienne the carrot, slice the onions into strips, and I'm just gonna cut the broccoli into little florets. We're gonna be adding the different veggies in different stages depending on their cook time. For vegetables that have a similar cook time, it helps if you're cutting them in roughly the same size and shape.
When I first started cooking and I didn't know we were supposed to do that, I would kind of just like indiscriminately chop things and nothing would like come out done at the same time. Like some things would be perfect and some things would be overcooked. Just hearing you talk about that, I was like, yeah, that is important, and I didn't know that for a long time.
And I think it varies a lot too depending on your preference, because I know you and I really like to have our veggies stay kind of crisp. Whereas if you don't mind your vegetables being a little softer and more well done, it might not matter as much.
Whenever I cook peppers, Sarah's always like, you got the right amount of crisp, thank you.
Quick tips. We're gonna move on to our sauce. It's very simple, but it's also very flavorful. We're gonna put in tons of fresh garlic and ginger. Measure garlic with your heart. Just to make quick work of it, I'm gonna go ahead and use my garlic press. I like this too because it gets the garlic super fine, almost like into a paste. And I feel like it brings out a bit more of the sweetness, and it also helps it just blend into the sauce a little bit more. And then we have some fresh ginger. If you don't cook with ginger a lot, feel free to just buy it in a tube. Double check, make sure they're vegan friendly. I've made that mistake before in the past. I actually want to try a hack that I saw on Pickup Lime's channel. Ginger is very fibrous and she recommended freezing it so that it's easier to grate. I also have one of these. This is a gift from my sister. It's a little ceramic dish that has little teeth on it and you can just grate your ginger on there. This is great to have if you use a lot of ginger. But we're gonna try the Pickup Lime's way today. Oh, it's working! We're keeping ginger in the freezer from now on. I typically do peel my ginger, I just use a spoon, but the skin has a lot of nutrients as well, so I just very thoroughly wash my ginger now and I leave the skin on. Doesn't really bother me. I got a little excited. That's more ginger than I really need for the recipe. I just couldn't stop. You really only need about a teaspoon. Now moving on to the remainder of the sauce ingredients. We're gonna add in some soy sauce, some rice vinegar. We are big fans of spice, so we're gonna add in chili garlic sauce. Feel free to leave this out or substitute in a different kind of hot sauce or pepper. And we're gonna add in some toasted sesame oil. This has a lot of flavor in it. Fresh garlic and ginger. some brown sugar. Feel free to substitute in a different kind of sweetener for the brown sugar. You can use maple syrup, agave. I just think adding some kind of sweetener really helps to balance out the flavors, the spice, the umami. The last thing we're gonna be adding is a little bit of vegetable broth just to add more volume to the sauce so that there's enough to coat all of our veggies and noodles and tofu. You can use any kind of vegetable broth that you keep in your pantry. I'm actually going to be using yondu. This is a vegetable umami seasoning, but you can add 1 teaspoon of this per cup of water and make a really quick vegan dashi broth. I'm gonna eyeball it. Did I say that was the last thing? Actually, the last thing we're adding is a little bit of cornstarch to help thicken up the sauce. I don't know why I smelled it.
Me neither. Does it smell like a big lump of knobs?
Cornstarch tends to settle as it sits. So we'll mix it again right before we add it into our stir-fry noodles. You can just add the tofu in as is now that it's been pressed. I recommend pan frying it though. It doesn't take that much extra time and it improves the texture a lot. It's gonna give it a meatier, chewier texture. Don't be intimidated by this process if you've never cooked tofu before. As long as you have a nice non-stick skillet, it's gonna be no problem. You can use sesame oil for extra flavor. I'm just using vegetable oil. Just drizzle that in your non-stick pan over medium-high heat. Just lift up the tofu in the towel and straight into the pan. Toss in your tofu and you're gonna let it cook undisturbed on that first side for a few minutes until it's golden brown. It's gonna kind of develop a skin. Then you're gonna give it a flip and you're gonna keep repeating this process, flipping your tofu every 1 to 2 minutes until more or less all of the different sides of the tofu are evenly golden brown. Then we're gonna remove our tofu to a plate or bowl so that we can use the skillet to fry the rest of our stir fry in. We're in the home stretch, people. Got our veggies, got our pan fried tofu, sauce.
I didn't know. I think we were going to say sauce, like in a New York
Sauce.
accent. And then you said sauce.
You can use literally any kind of noodles you like in a pinch. You could even use spaghetti noodles. I've got some rice noodles. Follow the package directions and undercook them slightly. You want them al dente because they're going to continue cooking and absorbing the sauce. So for my particular brand of noodles, they just wanted me to soak them in extremely hot tap water for about half an hour, which we have been doing here. I'm gonna stir fry everything on medium-high. It goes really quickly, so stay close by. So I'm actually gonna go in first with my onions. I'm gonna stir fry those, get them a little bit of color on them. Then I'm gonna add in my broccoli. I'm actually gonna add in a little splash of water to the pan, cover it, and let that steam through for just a minute or so. And then I'm gonna go in with the veggies that I want to stay on the crisper side. In our case, carrots and bell peppers. Stir fry those for just a few minutes. Then we're gonna add in our sauce. That's gonna get all nice and bubbly. It's gonna start to thicken. At that point, you're gonna add in your noodles. It helps to have tongs here to help coat the noodles with the sauce, make sure it's evenly distributed. If the noodles are looking a little bit dry, you can add in an extra splash of water or vegetable broth just to make sure they're coated. And then at the very end, we're gonna toss back in our tofu just to heat it through. Our vegan stir-fry noodles are ready to eat. Chopped up some fresh scallions. We have some toasted sesame seeds.
First of all, the noodles are perfectly cooked. It's really easy to overcook them and they get mushy and fall apart and stuff. These are perfect.
They still have a nice chew. I think it's easier with some noodles than others. These are specifically made for stir-fry, so it's good to look for those.
They're more robust. The tofu has that skin you mentioned. It's nice and chewy, but it's not dry. Like it's still nice and moist. And it absorbs the sauce. The sauce is really good. It's like sweet, spicy, and salty. Very balanced. I feel like we don't make noodle stir fry enough.
We don't.
Like we always
really don't.
stir fry veggies and sauce and make rice. We should do it more.
We get a lot of takeout noodles, pat sen, drunken noodles. We should learn how to make those.
Like the authentic.
Stay tuned. In a future episode, maybe we'll do that. We'll like recreate our takeout order for different cuisines.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Indian, Thai. There's so much.
You could eat the leftovers chilled too. It would be like a cold noodle salad.
Yeah, I love cold noodles.
And for our final beginner-friendly vegan dinner idea, we have these tofu and bean burritos with a bonus recipe for a quick and easy cashew cheese sauce. Our protein for this recipe will come from beans and tofu. So grab a can of your favorite beans and give them a good rinse. And as for our tofu, we're using the tip from earlier in this video where we slice it up and then press it using a clean kitchen towel with a little bit of weight. While it's pressing, this is a great time to prep your veggies. Dice up a white or yellow onion and mince up as much garlic as you like, and dice up a green or a red bell pepper. You could also chop up any other veggies you like. Mushrooms, zucchini, sweet potato are great options here. Now let's heat a little cooking oil in a nonstick skillet over medium-high heat. Add in your onions and then crumble in your pressed tofu. We're gonna cook these until the excess water in the tofu evaporates and we're able to develop some nice golden brown color on there. That's gonna give it a meatier texture and some extra flavor, and it shouldn't take too long because we've already gone ahead and pressed out the extra liquid. Then you can add in your garlic and your bell pepper and saute for just about another minute. This is the point at which you'll add in your beans as well. You can make your own homemade taco seasoning for this, but since this is a vegan recipes for beginners video, let's be real, using a pre-made taco seasoning is way easier and still delicious. So I add in a few tablespoons of the spicy taco seasoning and a little splash of water to help the seasoning coat the tofu mixture. Stir it in, give it a taste, and add more taco seasoning as needed, as well as any extra salt and pepper, just depending on your preference. When it comes to burritos, I always have to add cheese, and if you want a store-bought option, these Violife cheddar shreds are my personal favorite. However, if I have a little extra time, I like to make this super quick and easy vegan cashew cheese. It just requires a cup of raw cashews, which I soak in hot water for about half an hour. Drain those and add them to a blender along with water, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, salt, nutritional yeast, and some lemon juice. And go ahead and blend until it's as smooth as it can be. I also like to add in some nacho jalapeno slices, and I just pulse the blender a few times to chop those up in there. This cashew cheese is super easy, it's delicious, it's a good Whole Foods plant-based option for cheese. Now assemble your burrito with your tofu filling, your cheese, and any other add-ins you like. I'm using guacamole and some sliced olives. Then optional but recommended, we like to toast our burritos in a skillet. Put it in seam side down and it will kind of seal the burrito. Just flip it a few times until it's evenly toasted on all sides.
Oh yeah, I really love burritos.
That taco seasoning was decently spicy.
It really is, yeah. The olives are a great touch. The tofu and bean combination forms like the most perfect protein texture.
I really like the cashew sauce in there. I feel like every burrito needs a little bit of moisture.
Sometimes guacamole isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you're right, that creaminess really does make everything. Sometimes they're too dry.
This would be a great meal prep. You could throw a bunch of these together or even freeze them.
We've done that with breakfast burritos before. Throw them in the microwave for a minute or two and they come out perfect.
I wouldn't put the guacamole in it if you're gonna meal prep it. I would keep it on the side.
Good work, honey.
And if you haven't tried grilling the outside of your burrito, I highly recommend it. Just adds the extra crunch. Makes it a special experience.
And everyone knows I love the toastiness on everything. So burrito dance. I'm like absolutely crushing this.
Those are our 3 beginner-friendly vegan dinner recipes. Thank you so much for watching.
If you're new around here, please consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps us out and we'd appreciate it a lot.
If you're in need of more easy vegan meal ideas, you can check out our Vegan Basics series, and we'll see you very soon.